Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our monthly boot camp. Sorry, we're starting a couple minutes late. Zoom has all kinds of new features that none of us were expecting. I think we have it all under control, but super excited to have everybody. We are officially in April, believe it or not. The year is flying by. And we have so many great things to share with you today. So, if you've never been on our boot camp before, we do this on the first Friday of every month from 9 a.m. to noon. Yes, 3 hours on a Zoom seems like an eternity, but the time flies by. We always try to get you off a little bit early, but there's just so much content to cover. And as we go throughout today's program, we share with you a lot of really unbelievable tools that you can use for your business, from listing presentations to buyer guides to seller guides. We're going to spend the first hour this morning just really focusing on marketing and branding pieces, and we share them with you all. We're going to give you Canva templates to everything. So the first thing I like to say is that this boot camp is always on the first Friday of every month from 9 a.m. to noon, just in case you can't stay for the whole thing today. We have many agents from around the country that come back regularly throughout the year because we update this as we add new things. We're going to show you today, in fact, our LAER agent services page where we share tons of our stuff. Sergio has worked his magic on it, so we're going to have lots of new stuff coming out as early as this afternoon. So it'll all still be the same content. So everything we cover today is relevant. It's just the look and the feel, and you can really personalize your experience on LAER agent services. So I can already see some of you that are attending today are LAER agents, which is wonderful. Welcome. I can see for some of you, this is your first time joining. And many of you are agents at other brokerages. And I like to stress right at the beginning, this is not a recruiting pitch. This is truly like 3 hours of content. Everything you need to build a real estate business, we will share in the next 3 hours. Literally everything. We're going to give you every tool, all the best pieces of technology, and it's a lot of content. So it doesn't matter whether you work at our brokerage or you don't work at our brokerage, you're going to get a great deal of wonderful content to incorporate into your business. So that brings me to, how do you chunk this down? Because the biggest challenge for many real estate agents, especially when you watch this program, is it becomes apparent there's just a lot of stuff, a lot of tools that you have to slowly integrate into your real estate business to be to have it operating on full tilt, that everything you start generating business, you start generating leads, that when you get leads, you show up and you look really good in front of your buyers and sellers. So we are going to cover all of that, but we don't want you to get overwhelmed because today's program is a fire hose of information. So the best way to handle that is, we always say, have a pen and paper so you can take some notes, and then try to chunk down today into 5 to 10 things that you're going to execute on after today's program. One of the challenges of our industry is it's really easy to hide in real estate classes. In other words, you can make it look like you're very busy by showing up and going to classes, but what's the good of doing that if you're not actually going to incorporate anything into your business? I'd rather see you, if you're not going to incorporate anything, I'd rather see you go spend your time elsewhere than sitting in a 3-hour program. But the fact that you're here demonstrates to me and to all of us that you're pretty serious about your business. You care and you want to grow a better business. You want to see different tools that you could utilize. You want to see how you could show up at a buyer presentation or a seller presentation. and look super professional. So you care about your business. You want to do things better or different. So that is why the key to making today work on your behalf, for really turning today into a shift in the trajectory of your business, is to execute on a few things. So I think a nice place to start is 5 is wonderful. 10 is excellent. If you execute on 5 things we go through today, you're going to change the trajectory of your business. If you execute on 10, you're totally going to even more change the trajectory of your business. Now, the challenge is we're going to give you 50 or 60 things you could go execute on. But most important, just take out a piece of paper, write down 1 to 10. And throughout today, I'm going to suggest some of the items that I think are really important. Like, you really have to go execute on these if you don't already have these as part of your business. And then after you get off the program, just commit, have your list of the 5 things or the 10 things that you're going to go work on when you leave the class today. So, I always say some agents leave early because 3 hours is a long time to sit in front of a computer. If you do leave early, you can always come back. All of our classes are on our YouTube station. So if you go to youtube.com/layer training, again, it's youtube.com/layer, LAER training. You'll find we have over 500 classes on there now, believe it or not. We have over 1,200 followers that are regularly watching our content. But you can go watch this class this afternoon. So if you have to leave a little bit early and you don't get to watch all 3 hours, or let's say that you write down the 5 to 10 things that you're going to go execute on, and by Sunday afternoon, you finished your list. You've already got all those working for you, because the beauty of today is we have front loaded. We've done most of the front work for you. So it's not like starting from scratch to build your expired presentation. We're going to give you your expired presentation, and instead of you spending 4 days putting your content together, we've already created it. We're going to give it to you as a Canva template, and then you can spend 15 minutes making it your own. So you can come back to watch our YouTube. It'll be live this afternoon on our YouTube station, and rewatch. Or if you write down your 10 things that you're going to execute on, and you by Sunday afternoon check all 10 off your list, you've got them executed, then you can come back and watch again, or come back next month and watch the live program again, and then find some more items. Like I said, there's going to be 50 or 60 things you could go and execute on. That's why I get excited when I see many of you have been on. I could see lots of agents today have been on our boot camp multiple times. So I think it's great that you keep checking back in, because we update it. And as I said, we're always changing. So always new stuff that coming to the forefront of our training programs. Okay, so with that being said, I like to start each class, and forgive me if this takes a little while. Like I said, the Zoom has changed a little bit, like all the buttons on Zoom, and that's why we got off a couple minutes late today, because we were trying to figure out what these new features are on the Zoom. So where I like to start each of these is with our LAER program and services guide. Again, if you're just logging in and you're not a LAER agent, I can't stress enough, this is not a LAER recruiting call whatsoever. We're going to share with you all kinds of tools. This is for every real estate agent of any brokerage. We're going to give you a phenomenal toolbox today. So I like to start each class with our LAER program and services guide. This is just a magazine we use to kind of put all the resources that we offer as a brokerage into a little magazine to help guide agents as to what resources are available to them. And as you go through, by the way, everybody can download this. If you want to take notes on it, you can go to LAER Realty, LAER Realty.com /success tools. You'll see this guide there. At the very bottom of that page is a PDF version of this guide. So you can download the PDF and take notes if you want to. On the PDF, you'll see lots of links embedded throughout the guide, so that we want it to be like a working document that you could see what the tool is and get a little snippet about what that tool is, and go explore further, go learn a little bit more by clicking through the links and watching tutorial videos, things like that. So it's a working guide. So we're going to start there as we begin our tour of all the tools that we're going to offer. Just a little bit about the brokerage. LAER Realty is an independent brokerage. We have about somewhere between 700 and 800 real estate agents all throughout New England and Florida. Where the name came from, we started 12 years ago. Where our name came from is when I started the brokerage, I had hired a branding agency, and they asked me what the goal is. I said, we're going to attract great real estate agents, and we're going to help build great real estate agents. And they asked, what makes a great real estate agent? And I said, the best agents are strong. They are negotiators of difficult terrain, and they are true protectors of their clients. And when I put those words into a Google search at the time, strong, protector, negotiator, the first image that came up in the Google search was a lion. So I said, that's it. We're going to build our brand around the lions of real estate. Lions in the wild stay together in layers. We at LAER, the lions of real estate, stay together in our layer. We changed the spelling of LAER because ours is the mirror image of real, since we are in the real estate business. We also created the acronym Local Agents Extraordinary Results. So that was 12 years ago. And I always tell people that sometimes you see, when you're out and about in neighborhoods, sometimes you'll see lion statues like in front of a walkway or in front of a doorway. Sometimes you will see the door knockers on a house are a lion. That is because the lion is a symbol of protection for the home. We look at it that there is a new symbol of protection for real estate across New England and Florida, and that is the LAER for sale sign. So we are looking at the LAER program and services guide. The first few pages of this just talk about our cultural values. I always tell agents, when you're considering a brokerage, make sure your values align with whatever brokerage you're at, so that you know that you're going to be there for a while. It then talks about the fact that we are proudly independent. We are kind of species that's going a little bit extinct, the large independent real estate brands. But we like being independent. It's kind of like the core of who we are. But even though we are small, I always say that we're still kind of a mom and pop real estate company. We are big enough in the industry that we do a lot of business, that we are rated annually by Real Trends and Power Broker Report as one of the biggest brokerages, because our tiny little pool of agents does a lot of business. So I always say we're like big enough to win in the market, but we're small enough to still care. So we're still a little mom and pop shop where we know the names of all of our agents, and we are a true community. Okay, so now we get to the meat and potatoes of where we're going to start our tour today, because I know many of you here are like, okay, I want stuff. Give me all the stuff I need to be super successful. So that's where the tour is going to begin. From here on out, if you've downloaded the program and services guide, the document is broken into 4 sections. You have marketing and branding is the first section, and you can see the sections are clearly identified, so you know when you're entering into a new section. So marketing and branding is first. Often this is something most agents really need a lot of help with. So that's why we're going to spend the first hour of today's boot camp really focusing on marketing and branding pieces. And then the next section is technology. The section after that is training and education. And the 4th section of this guide is the administrative support services. So let's dig into marketing and branding. Now, first, the very first page that we have when it gets to the marketing and branding is our LAER agent services link. So as I mentioned in this guide, anytime you see something that is underlined, that's a link to more information. So let's click on it and see where it takes us. As you will see, this takes us over to a dashboard of tools and services. The first thing that you're going to notice, especially if you're not a LAER agent, is, hey, there's no username and password. You're not preventing us from getting the information. No, we used to do that many years ago, but then we looked at it and we said, okay, that doesn't really align with our values. If our values are that we're going to help every agent become the best version of themselves, then having a username and password to get into the best tools is really saying then that we're going to only help our agents at our brokerage become the best version of themselves. And so that doesn't quite align with what our true mission is. Our true mission is to help all agents become the best version of themselves in their business and their lives. So many years ago, we said, you know what, let's open it all up to everybody so that all the great agents in the marketplace who truly care about their business and want to grow and want to thrive will have access to these resources. So no username and password to get in. You'll want to bookmark this. It's LAERagentservices.com. I'll also tell you, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, our amazing marketing director, Sergio, has been very busy behind the scenes, kind of reconceptualizing this whole agent services dashboard. So we're going to launch that. Could be today, could be tomorrow, but really soon you'll come back to LAER agent services. The good news is the meat that we share on here, like the marketing pieces, all that stuff, that is going to stay. Like all of the content that people come here for is going to stay. But the cool piece is, number one, just hearing feedback from our agents over the last couple of years. What you'll see right now is it's not super searchable. So if you wanted like to find a listing presentation, I'm going to show you where you can go get the listing presentation or the buyer guide or the expired listing package. But there's no easy place for you to go just search. So under the new LAER agent services that we are launching, it makes it super searchable. It's also pretty cool in that the new LAER agent services makes it so you see all these cool buttons that we have here. Under the new version, these are stagnant. So every time you come back, the buttons are in the same place. But different agents come here for different things. So some agents come and they just really want to focus on like training resources and education. Other people come here and they just really want the marketing stuff. There's all different reasons people come to LAER agent services. Literally, agents from all around the country come to this site on a monthly basis to grab and garner great tools for their business. We wanted to make it so that you could kind of choose, like you could reorganize the site based on what pieces you want to spend the most time, so that every time you come, you don't have to say, okay, I got to go find the listing presentation again. Instead, you're going to be able to pin your favorite parts of this site so that you can easily find them when you return. So let's dig into the content, because really, when it comes to marketing and branding pieces, that's where a lot of agents need the most support. And many of you are on here today because you're like, I need a better for sale by owner presentation, for example. We're going to give that to you in the next few minutes. So when you get here, I won't spend too much time here because a lot of this is changing literally in the next few days. But first thing that you'll see right at the top is number one, we have our host schedule. So if you are a LAER agent, as you know, we have tons of offices all throughout New England and Florida. Well, what happens if you have somebody that's going to be dropping something off at one of our locations? You just want to know, is there going to be staff in the office? If somebody goes there and drops off a signed document, will there be somebody that is there? You can actually see the host schedule for our entire company. So you can look up, if you click on host schedule, you see the whole calendar of who is where on any given day. So you can make sure somebody is going to be in the office. By the way, under the new site that we're launching, this will be even more searchable. So you can just search by office, or you could just search by or by the hosts themselves. So this is right at the top, the host schedule. We also have a link here for our LAER internal company newsletter. So if you are a LAER agent and you want to know like what's happening in the company, we email this out to everybody on a monthly basis, but we spend a lot of time each month putting together content for this. This is like our best secrets for building a great business or life. And by the way, you can go get all the previous versions of it as well. So it's just a 4-page internal company newsletter, and you'll see you can download it as well as a PDF. But each month we have like new marketing tools to think about, book recommendations, movie recommendations. We have a sustainability section with updates on sustainability. And we also put all of our agent birthdays at the end. But most importantly, so you'll see this, the March edition had some great scripts, our birthday celebrations, but most importantly in the company, the internal newsletter, is we have a little section of what's happening in the lives of our agents. So this little section just tells you if one of our team members lost a family member, or has a celebration, who got married, who had a baby, all kinds of things. So it's worth taking a look at. If you're a LAER agent, it's definitely worth taking a look at our newsletter on a monthly basis. We have our hosts at our offices, print them and display them at the front reception desk at each office. So if you stop by one of our offices, you can grab a copy. Most of these other sections here, like recently joined, marketing, social media assistant, these all take you down here. They'll move you down the site a little bit. Okay, right at the very top here, if you are a LAER agent who recently joined the brokerage, and I see a couple of you that are kind of brand new at LAER, there are some resources at the very top, because we're adding now 15, 20 new agents a month that join the brokerage. We want to make it super simple for you to get the main things you need to like make announcements and stuff like that when you join the brokerage. So right at the top, number one, you have the program and services guide. That's the document I started with a few minutes ago, that little magazine that goes through all the resources we have. It's at laerrealty.com/success tools. If you scroll to the very bottom there, you can actually download the PDF of that. So if you wanted to print it and take some notes today. Also, if you're new to the company, we have a frequently asked questions section. You guys probably already know that anytime you need anything, you can actually just email happyagent@laerrealty.com, and that goes into our support dashboard. So one of our team members will reach out and answer whatever questions you have. But also, maybe it's Saturday night at 11 o'clock and you just thought of a question. You can just click here on our frequently asked questions section and the answer's probably there. We kind of compile all the questions that regularly come into the Happy Agent system and just post answers under here. Next, we have marketing pieces. If you just joined our brokerage, like just announcement letters, we have an onboarding checklist that helps you kind of stay focused. Social media announcements, postcard announcements, text announcements. These all open into like Canva templates. So you can update those so that you can customize something to go out to your sphere of influence. So that is all under Tell the World. And then this is something new that Sergio of our marketing team just recently created. Many agents want to, as soon as they join, one of the little teeny nuisances of changing a brokerage is getting your email signature to work properly so that it's all branded and it's pretty and it's got your logo and your websites and your social media. And then how do you get it into your Gmail, for example? So Sergio made this little site where you actually fill in all of your information. It makes you your email signature. And then at the very bottom, he has some videos on exactly how to get it into your email. So that's under email signature. So that's all for agents that just joined the brokerage. We also announce all of our new agents here. This is kind of like our little billboard. If you are new, I see Keith, you're on today's boot camp. So welcome to your first boot camp. And by the way, if you recently joined LAER and you don't see yourself here, that's because we're probably missing your photo. We almost always now get your bio. But if we don't have a professional photo of you yet, then we wait to announce you because we want everybody to see what you look like so that they can put a face to the name. So if you stop by at the office, they could say, hey, I saw that you just joined, so welcome. So this is just our official welcome. Now we're going to head down to marketing, branding, and presentations. This is, for many of you, this is the stuff you've been waiting for. This is, for many of you, why you're on today's call. You want some of this content that we're about to share. So the most clicked button, our LAER agent services site gets thousands and thousands of people that come onto it on a monthly basis. Agents from everywhere. And the button that people click the most is this one: guides, presentations, brochures. Because people come here, they want like a really nice buyer guide. They want a really nice seller guide. They want an expired listing guide, investor guide. They want listing presentations. And we've created it all for you. All of the content has already been created in Canva. So that means that when you come and take these tools, you don't have to start from scratch. Any of you who have built like a listing presentation from scratch know that to really have a nice listing presentation, it takes, I think, several days to kind of outline all the value that you offer, outline the value of being a realtor, stuff like that. So we've done all that work for you so that all you have to do is take the pieces and add your picture, your contact information, your bio, and and customize it to you. Super easy. So instead of taking several days to get a nice listing presentation, in 1 hour, you can customize, not even an hour, even less. So let's take a look at some of the stuff we have under here. And this is all under marketing, brochures, presentations, and guides. Okay, so first thing I like to note is as you look through here, when you get to the bottom of the search, make sure you click this load more button because it's a little bit deceiving the way this platform looks. It looks like when you get to the bottom of the page that you've seen everything. And I don't know why it does this, but so you see how there's one over here, understanding buyer agency. It looks like there's nothing else. So it's deceiving because you're like, okay, they gave us 10 tools. There's 10 items on here. That is not correct. If you click the load more, it's going to keep giving you stuff. So the first piece is not to get deceived and think that that's all the content there is. You can click that load more a few times and it's going to keep bringing up more and more content. So, second thing I like to go through is the fact that these are Canva templates. So, many of you are very familiar with Canva, but in case you're not, I want to give you a quick lowdown on Canva in general. So, Canva is a marketing and branding tool. It's a tool you can use to create social media pieces, branded pieces like presentations and guides and all kinds of stuff. You can literally use it for anything. It has an app and you can use it on your desktop. And I feel like every agent should use it because we're in the business of marketing. So we should look really good when we meet a customer. We should make people feel really comfortable. And because we look so professional with all of our stuff. So Canva does that. But what's really cool about Canva is it makes it so that that companies or people who create stuff can share their templates with other people. So that's what we've done here. For example, this is our for sale by owner guide, and I'm going to open that template. So this is a magazine. If we do view template, and then I'm going to open the template. Now, first thing to know in case you have never used Canva before is that as soon as you open the template, you now own that piece of material. In other words, if you go add your photo to it, it's not going to affect the version that is on our site. So nobody's going to see that you just added your photo or you changed out the photos or changed the color of the magazine. Once you open it into your Canva, you now own it and it's your version of what you opened. So nobody else is going to see it. It's now yours. This particular piece is a document and it's a 29-page magazine for agents that are out talking to people who are trying to sell their own properties. Now, first thing to note is there's two versions of Canva. So there's a free version of Canva and a paid version of Canva. The difference between the two, there's a few differences. The reason I think all agents should have the paid version of Canva, which is around $13 a month roughly, the reason I think agents should have the paid version of Canva is because if you're doing a lot of branded pieces, you want to have really nice photography in your pieces. So when you have Canva, they give you what are called stock images. A stock image is like this image that you see right here of this couch on a blue couch against a blue wall. So that's a stock image. And Canva, if you have the free version of Canva, they give you like 1 million stock images. But if you have the paid version of Canva, they give you like 10 million stock images. And so I like having as many stock images as possible so that you have a lot to choose from when you are creating pieces. So many of our pieces that you will find on our site are created with the paid version of Canva, the $13 a month version of Canva. So if you're using, that means like this photo, this stock image here, the blue couch on the blue background, that's probably an image available only to people who have the paid version of Canva. So does that mean you can't use our pieces if you have the free version of Canva? Absolutely not. You could still use everything that we're going to go through today with the free version of Canva, 100%. So, the difference is that if you're using the free version, sometimes you're going to go into one of our pieces and it's going to have a big Canva watermark. So you don't see a Canva watermark on my image here, but if I opened this in the free version of Canva, this image would probably have a big Canva watermark against it because this image is only for paid users of Canva. So if you are using the free version of Canva, you can use 100% of the pieces I'm going to share with you today. The listing presentations, the buyer guides, the seller guides. However, you will have to go through each of the pages and change out photos sometimes. You're going to have to scan through the whole piece and see which images you have to change out. And you'll know because it'll have a big Canva watermark against some of the images. The good news is that takes 30, not even 30 seconds, it takes 10 seconds. So if I click on this, I can go change any image I want. So I would just go to elements and I'd say I want living room. Let's just put living room and you'll see it gives me all kinds of living room pictures. So I could take any living room picture I want. Now, I don't know if you guys could see this super well, but when you are choosing your images on Canva, some of them have this little king crown down in the right hand corner. That means that image is only available for people who are paying the $13 a month for Canva. Don't worry, there's tons available for anybody. Like there's tons of free images available as well, but many of them are only for, I kind of reopen that. I made my screen too big and then I couldn't get it backwards. Okay, so I'm going to go back and show you how easy it is to change out a photo. So if you're using the free version, I don't want people to say, okay, I'm not going to do it because I have the free Canva and I can't afford the $13 a month. I want you to still use all these pieces and it's super easy. You just have to go change out the photos. So I just typed in living room and I'm going to look at all the different living room pictures and I'm going to see if I could find one that doesn't have the little king's crown. It, of course, Canva is always going to default it. So all the ones with the paid, the king crown down in the right-hand corner, it's going to default and give you those first because, of course, Canva is a business and they want to try to convince people to upgrade to the $13 a month version. But I promise you, even if you don't want to pay, by the way, I can actually, instead of just scrolling, there's a way I can just click here and say I only want the free images. There. Now it's just going to say, I'm going to go free versions and then apply. Now it's only giving me the images that are the free version. So super easy. I could take whatever image I want. There. So I just changed out the image. It took 2 seconds. So you can use any image you want. If you're using the free version of Canva, totally fine. You're just, when you open up one of our pieces, you're going to have to scan through it really quick and find the Canva watermarks and replace those images. because the system won't let you download this as a PDF once you're done until you've eliminated, if you're using the free version of Canva, it's not going to let you download if you have any images in there that are paid versions of Canva. Okay, so super easy to change out images. Then it's got like a little intro section, things to consider. So I wrote this guide, and really it focuses on, you want to be able to drive by a for sale by owner and actually stop in and knock on the door and say, hey, I've got some materials that will help you sell your house. So this magazine, this 29 page magazine, is designed so that it's a nice balance of giving them some information and tools that will help them sell their business, and equal part scaring the living daylights out of them about selling their own real estate, because it's scary. There's lots of things that they have to know about if they're going to go sell on their own. Lots of liability they take by selling it on their own. So this is equal parts both. So by the way, on any of our Canva pieces, you can customize as much as you want. We try to make them so good that you don't have to do tons of customization, but you just basically have to put your photo, your contact information, your bio, maybe some testimonials. But if you're not a LAER agent, you want to take out the logos and stuff like that. But I think in 5 minutes you could have a really nice for sale by owner guide to add to your toolbox and customize as much as you want. Amazing little tool for your business. So you can go knock on the door and say, I noticed that you're selling your home on your own. I'm a local agent. I sell many houses in this market. I have a little guide that I just wanted to drop by. That way, if you ever do think of selling, this is a document that not only it has all my information in the end so that you can reach out to me, but also it's just chock full of content so that it'll help you sell your house as well. So that's our for sale by owner guide. Let's take a look at some other pieces in here. Okay, so the next caveat I just want to talk about really briefly is we have a great expired listing packet in here as well. That's also a magazine, but that really focuses on expired listings. We also have listing presentations and buyer presentations. I'm going to take you through a couple of those. Those are formatted almost like a PowerPoint format. The idea of the listing and buyer presentations is that you would go meet with the customer, bring your laptop or your tablet, and you would present it and just do a presentation mode and go through the slides of your listing or buyer presentation. So we have lots of those to choose from, including if you have sustainability as a niche in your business. We have some that are geared really to focus on sustainability. We have buyer guides here, seller guides. Now, one additional caveat I would like to make here is that we have two versions, so a New England version and Florida version. The reason for this is because for us, we practice in both New England and Florida, but the laws of agency are very different in Florida versus New England. So when you're thinking about your branding pieces, your things that you're giving to people to articulate your value, when you're thinking about the items that you give away, it's really important to make sure that you're not over-promising your agency. So like what your fiduciary responsibility will be. So in New England, we practice traditional agency. We represent a buyer, we represent a seller, we have very clear fiduciary duties to the people we represent. Florida, most companies are transaction brokers, and it is definitely a lower level of fiduciary responsibility in Florida that the agents offer. So that being said, the promises should be different in the marketing pieces. So what their agent would do for them in those markets looks a little bit different. We're promising less fiduciary responsibility in the Florida markets. So this brings me to you and your brokerage. So we have these clearly articulated Florida versus New England for our agents. But if you're with another brokerage, it's important that once you've created your marketing piece, the branding piece that you're going to leave behind with after an appointment, or the branding piece you're going to drop off to a for sale by owner or to an expired listing, that you have your broker read it to make sure that you're not over promising your level of fiduciary duty, that it's all in line, that you're actually promising what you will deliver. So as we go down, there are a few that I want to show you. And again, these all open in template formats. So first one that I think is really interesting is the buyer presentation. So one of the reasons that I am very much, I'm very much a proponent of real estate agents having an actual presentation, showing up and having a presentation that you show to a client. The reason for that, there's many reasons, but one of the big reasons for it is that you deliver consistent service by consistently articulating what you offer. So what I mean by that, there's a wonderful book by Atul Gawande, and it's called The Checklist Manifesto. And basically, Atul Gawande is like a surgeon, and he wrote the book about the importance of checklists in every situation. And he had done a study. He was curious as to why people die, for example, of these infections in hospitals, and he started doing a study, and he realized it came down to the caretakers, the nurses and doctors, not having a regular checklist for when they should be washing their hands, which means they were easily transmitting germs from patient to patient, and sometimes that's lethal. And he said it really came down to just having a checklist that after you finish a surgery, here's 10 things that you do. Before you go into a surgery, these are the 10 things that you do, and all these include washing your hands. And so I love the idea of checklists so that you can do things consistently well, that you can present consistently well. And if you think about it, a listing presentation and a buyer presentation these are your opportunity to articulate the value you bring to the table. And a great presentation is a checklist. It is all the promises that you're going to they're the promises you're making to your client. So I say to agents all the time that if you are running into objections in your meetings, your buyer meeting, your seller meeting, it's because you haven't clearly articulated a part of your value. So anytime you get an objection, by the way, that means that you should go back and tweak the checklist so that you don't have that same issue, that same objection next time. A very well orchestrated presentation makes it so at the end there's no objection. Secondly, there are things. So one of the things I think is really interesting about this whole concept of a checklist is, for example, this story that I share quite often, and this goes back probably 10 years, but one of our agents who does a ton of volunteer work, like she constantly is doing volunteer work. She does every year for like 25 years. She raises money through the Jimmy Fund Walk. She does all kinds of fundraising for Susan G. Komen. She volunteers literally every single weekend at a wildlife sanctuary, one of the most giving people. Anyways, and she's a real estate agent. She's a very good real estate agent. And I remember maybe 10 years ago, she lost a listing, and which is rare for her. She's really good at what she does. She goes on listings and people list with her. And she went on a listing appointment. She thought she was getting the listing. The people ended up listing with somebody else. And she called the people and she said, no worries that you listed with somebody else, but could you tell me what I could have done differently? Like, why did you choose that person instead of me? And the seller said, only reason, we loved everything that you had to offer. You're wonderful as a professional, but this agent talked about the work that she does for Susan G. Komen. Like, she does a lot of fundraising for cancer research, and that's very close to my heart. And my agent was like, holy cow, like, there is nobody that does as much for some of these charities as this agent who lost a listing because she didn't talk about it. And I said that to her. I said, well, do you talk about any of the stuff that you do in when you go on your listing or buyer presentations? And she said, no, I don't talk about it. And I said, that's the lesson. That's a gift that you just found out, that there should be a slide in your presentation where you talk about the stuff that you do. So I get that you don't do it for that reason, but now that you know that that's important to some people, they want to know what you're doing for the community. So you should put it into your presentation. That is a checklist manifesto. It means you had a checklist, you failed to talk about something that might be important to a client. So by having a really good presentation, it makes it less likely that you're gonna not talk about something that is of great importance to the person that you're sitting in front of. So this is our version of a buyer presentation, and I'm going to just take you through a couple pieces of it. Of course, this is meant to be customized to you. You can customize 100% of it. It's got a place for you to put your name, your picture, your contact info. For us, we talk about our brokerage. It gives you some places to add your testimonials and stuff like that. It then goes into this 10-step process. Now, one of the reasons this is so important to have a buyer presentation is up until 2024, it is my belief that most real estate agents had seller presentations. You go on a listing presentation and you brought something with you to articulate your value. And I believe most agents had that seller presentation or listing presentation because they understood inherently that you're asking the seller to commit to you for a long time. You're asking them to sign a 6-month or 3-month or 9-month contract with you. So you're saying to them, you are choosing me as your one real estate agent to represent you, and we're going to be in this together until the property's sold. So inherently we got, like, that's a pretty big deal. That's a big commitment. So in order to make somebody feel really comfortable that they're making a great choice in me, I need to have a good presentation. So for many of you, you already have a listing presentation. By the way, if you don't, we have a great we have a few listing presentations on our site here that you can choose from. But up until 2024, it was my belief that most agents did not have a buyer presentation. And that is because many were not even getting a buyer contract signed. There were a couple states where this was mandatory by law even before 2024. But for the most part, many of the states, it was not required that you ask buyers to sign a buyer contract. Well, now we know things have changed. Buyers are signing buyer contracts. They have to sign a buyer contract even to go look at real estate. So that means that everything that we believed about sellers and having a level of comfort in signing a long-term commitment with us, was now true for buyers, that we're asking people, many times they're complete strangers to us, to trust us enough to sign a long-term contract, that I'm going to be your person that is going to help. I'm going to be with you for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and we're going to find your house together. So in order to help somebody feel really comfortable with that, you need a good checklist manifesto. It's even better if your checklist manifesto is really pretty and articulates it for you so you can present it. So you show up at your meeting at the office with your laptop and you present just like I'm presenting now, or you present on Zoom just like I'm presenting right now, because the idea is you want that person to feel so comfortable that you just showed them everything that you're going to do. By the way, still, I think most agents don't have buyer presentations. So the other level to this is that just by doing this, you set yourself apart from the other agents that potentially are trying to work with that same buyer. So we put a lot of thought into how we structured this buyer presentation. You can change it. All of the Canva pieces I'm going through today, 100% you can change anything you want. You can change, take out slides, you can delete stuff, add stuff, take out logos, add stuff. So this is our 10-step buying process. And we go through each piece. Step 1, evaluation, consultation, and representation. And the first thing, now you'll see there's a lot of writing. I don't mean that you sit with somebody and actually read through all these, but you should read through these before you present, because you're going to just basically talk through the highlights. And this helps you articulate for somebody why they need representation. So you talk about the importance of a buyer agent, and then you talk about how you get paid as a buyer agent. And then you say what you agree to as a real estate agent, that when they hire somebody to represent them, these are all the things that that real estate agent agrees to do. And then it also says, hey, as a customer, you're going to agree to some stuff as well. This is a contract. So we're both mutually agreeing to do certain things on our side. I then say, snapshot your actual buyer contract. This is just one that I put in here as a placeholder. It's actually an old one. So no matter what, this should be updated. Even if you're a Massachusetts agent, this is an old buyer contract in here. But whatever buyer contract you're doing, you should screenshot and stick it into your presentation. And also, you're going to highlight the section. You're going to like zoom in on the piece where you explain that you're going to ask the seller to help contribute towards that if they need that. So the reason that we lead with this is I have run into many real estate agents who are kind of scared to even talk about the buyer agent fee with their buyers. And I think it's something that's very easy to talk about, very easy to explain. And I think that the 10-step buying process, you should lead with it. The reason for that is most buyers, it's the number one thing on their mind, because most buyers already know that they're responsible for paying a buyer agent. This is not new news to them. They already know it. And it's the thing that's in the back of their mind. And if you don't lead with this in your buyer presentation, it's my belief they don't hear all the other steps. They're not going to hear steps 1 through 9 if you leave the buyer fee part to step 10. They are not going to hear step 1 through 9 because they're trying to hold the thought. I need to find out how I'm going to pay for this. I wonder if this is expensive. I wonder if I can ask the seller to pay for the buyer agent fee. So get that, clear that air, clear the air. to just say, here, this is how the buyer agent fee is going to work, and we're going to ask the seller to pay for it, and here's where you see that in the contract, and then move on. It's like a 2-minute conversation, and now they can let that go. That piece has been addressed, and now they can actually see the value that you bring to the table. Step 2, determining a price range. You're going to talk to them about how to evaluate mortgage options, how to shop for more than just interest rates, especially if they're first-time home buyers. They're focused on what's my rate, what's my rate, what's my rate, not realizing that that's probably like the third thing they should be thinking about when thinking about mortgages. Like, more importantly, how much do I need out of pocket to make sure they have the money to even buy? That should be first. Step 2 is the cost, and maybe step 3 is what is the interest rate. You're going to talk about pre-approval versus pre-qualification. You're going to talk about what is mortgage insurance. Step 3 is evaluating the communities, now that we have it down to like a range that they feel is affordable. Then you're going to talk about what to think about when evaluating communities. Do they need access to school reports? How do they find out crime statistics, community services, things like that? Step 4, they're going to begin shopping for a home. Now, one of the key pieces here is I always put a little slide in here about Zillow. And all it does is it really just lets them know that while Zillow is interesting for looking at pretty homes, it's not super accurate as far as it doesn't have real-time updates. That's just a fact. So that should not be their primary place for searching real estate. By the way, we don't necessarily want them on Zillow because we know Zillow's going to try to sell that lead to a paying Zillow agent. So we really want to keep our clients informed that Zillow is not always the best place to look for real estate, only because it's not real time. In other words, we don't want our buyer falling in love with a house that went under agreement 3 days ago. We want to make sure they're on a platform that the houses that are showing up on the platform are actually available for sale still. So it's important to really go over that piece of it with the client. But secondly, you also have to give them a good place to search for real estate. So at our company, we use Real Scout, which I'll have Ashley give you a little demo on later. Because the Real Scout is like having your own Zillow. So that's why I like it. Like, you are the Zillow when you have Real Scout, and it gives really nice searches, and it's super accurate. Like, as soon as a property's under agreement in MLS, in Real Scout, it's under agreement. You can't access it anymore. But also here, you're going to talk to the client about how to visit open houses, and to be clear about the fact that they're represented. You're also going to have the conversation here that if they see off-market properties, like a for sale by owner, that they should contact you, and that you will help facilitate showing the property and selling that property to them. Step 5, you're going to talk about the due diligence that you do on your transactions. Step 6, you're going to talk about pricing and offer strategies, what to do if there's bidding wars. Step 7, writing the offer. What happens if my offer is rejected? What happens if it's accepted? Then what do I do? What kind of inspections do I do? Which is step 8. And you can just talk about the different types of inspections that are available, what to do if there's tons of repairs that need to get done. Also, some agents like to throw in like home warranties as part of the value that they offer, and why a home warranty is sometimes good. And then step 9, appraisal and mortgage conditions. What is an appraisal? Why is the appraisal necessary? How is that different than like the realtor coming up with a market analysis? How to prevent mortgage declines. This is an important one. We're going to remind them that they shouldn't go buy a new car or finance like the furniture that's no payments for a year. We got to say you can't do that either. Don't do any of that before buying a house. Don't co-sign debt. Don't move money between accounts. Don't make a huge deposit. Don't change jobs. Don't quit jobs. Don't choose not to pay a bill. We're then going to talk about homeowners insurance and what that means when buying a house, especially states like Florida. Insurance is a really big issue, especially if there's things in the house like an older roof. And then step 10, the closing. So it talks about final walkthrough, things like that. I'm not going to go through all the documents in this fashion, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the level of detail and time we put into creating really good pieces. Because the idea here is this is your buyer presentation. You just met the buyer for the first time. You show up, you do this presentation, you explain how you get paid on a transaction. If they've ever met another real estate agent, there's a good chance, there's a high probability that the other agent didn't actually do a presentation like this. So um, you give people a sense of solace by explaining each step. This is the first step to real buyer representation, because what great buyer agents do is they create clarity out of chaos. And to the people we work with, the buyers that we work with and the sellers we work with, the entire process is chaos. So it is our job to start to make the whole process extremely clear. The clearer that you can make the process, the more business that you're going to do. That's making people feel a different way. They feel really comfortable. So that's our buyer presentation. Let's talk about, let me see if there's any others. There's tons of cool pieces on here. I like these Monopoly boards. These are just flyers that you can put into a buyer package or a seller package. We have a seller version and a buyer version, but this basically just breaks down the whole process of buying or selling a house, but it makes it look like a Monopoly board. So I thought that was really, those are really cute just to throw in as an extra flyer into your packages. Let's see, we have these vendor, let's see, we have these trusted vendor lists. So if you've been through any of our training, like our Algorand program, one of the areas we tell you that you can build a really fast sphere of influence by leaning into vendors. That is like landscapers in your marketplace, literally any business. You can build out a vendor list, get out there, meet them, get belly to belly with them, build out your trusted vendor list. So the first step to that is actually having the list, having a list of people that you know and trust so that you can refer them out to people. But then you can leverage this list into a database of people who refer you business. So it's not super pretty, but it's a really important piece to have in your toolbox. We have our LAER brochure. If you're a LAER agent, we have a LAER guide to real estate investing. This is kind of like a little little magazine for beginner investors. Some things to think about. We also have, I think these are really cool. Let me see if I can find them. We have a buyer guide and a seller guide. And oh, here they are. I really love these for your initial appointments with buyers and sellers. We have a buyer intake workbook and a seller intake workbook. So these help agents stand out as well. So these are, you can change anything you want. You can delete pages or delete logos or change questions, but you'll see like this buyer intake. Imagine you show up for your buyer appointment, you do your buyer presentation, you give them a package, and that package is going to have your buyer guide, maybe the Monopoly board piece, maybe your trusted vendor list, but also you have this buyer intake workbook. and you ask them to fill out all the questions on the workbook, such as their information, preferred method of communication, how quickly they want to buy, information about financing, what type of property they're looking for, what factor is the most important to you when shopping for a property, location amenities, house features, things they like and dislike, from flooring to countertops to things like that. Additional notes, describe your ideal home, describe your ideal neighborhood, what's your favorite room in the house. And this just helps you better direct and provide value for your client. We also have the seller intake form as well. So I really like those as well. All right, so there's a lot here to unpack, but I at least have given you a good idea of some of the tools that are available just under this first button that we've looked at. Literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of tools to utilize in your business. So let's just talk about going back to when we started today. So you can already see time is kind of flying. We're already at 10:20. So you can already kind of see that there's a lot that we're covering today, and this is like just the very beginning. So it's really important to go back to your list of 10 things that you're going to execute on today. So I want to give you some hints throughout the day of things that like you have to have in real estate. You can't, it's really not going to be possible to build a great business if you don't have some of these things. So if you do not have one already, I'm giving you your list of things you have to go execute on after you leave today if you don't already have these items. If you do not have a buyer presentation, that's number one. I showed you guys ours. Go customize that. This is not a day's worth of work. This is at the very, very most 1 hour's worth of work. I don't even think it's going to be 1 hour, but let's just say 1 hour. Buyer presentation is a must-have. Two, hopefully everybody's got one already, but a listing presentation. This is a must-have. You've got to have a listing presentation. I won't say nobody. Most people are not going to feel comfortable signing a long-term contract if you do not articulate your value. So you need a listing presentation, 100%. The third thing that I would execute on is your packages. So I tell every agent that they should have 3 packages: a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package, and 2 additional add-ons. If you don't have buyer, seller, investor, go do those. Don't worry about the other ones right now. But if you already have your buyer, seller, and investor packages, then you can go put together an expired package and a for sale by owner package. What is a package? A package is you get a pretty folder and you want to have a nice handout to hand to somebody so that they can hold on to something that articulates your value. So after you meet with a customer, you can hand them, here's a package about me, or it could be even before your appointment. So you could hand it before or after your appointment, but having a folder. On a buyer folder, it would be a folder that has a buyer intake form, your buyer guide, the monopoly board piece, the trusted vendor list, and a brochure about your brokerage. So we have all of these here already. If it's a seller package, it's going to have a seller guide, a seller intake form, the monopoly board piece about selling, the trusted vendor piece, the brochure about your brokerage. Oh, all of these, by the way, should also have your resume. So your resume should be in every package that you have. Investor package, same thing. We have the investor guide. So I'd print the investor guide, the vendor, the vendor document, the brochure about your brokerage, your resume. That should be in your investor package. And then as extras, you could have the for sale by owner package, and you could have the expired listing package. Those are 5 packages. Anyways, for the buyer and seller packages specifically, you should have 10 of each of those. So that means that when you are done today, if you have a couple hours to spend working on stuff this afternoon, go create your packages. Don't wait until you have an appointment to create the package, because one of the things we talk about in all of the training that we do, and I don't spend a great deal of time talking about this in today's class, because today's class is really just about giving you a lot of tools. But all the other classes that we offer, we talk a lot about energy, because energy will predict your success. The energy you put out, the energy you transmit will determine whether you are successful in business. And if you say in your head that I will create my buyer package when I have a buyer instead of having them all ready, that is the energy of not being ready. The energy you are putting out is the energy of not being prepared to meet a buyer, which is a very different energy that you put out than being so ready that you have 10 buyer packages ready. These are 2 totally different energies. 100%, no question in my mind, if you have 10 buyer packages ready, you are going to attract business at a faster pace than somebody that has in their mind that they'll create the buyer package when they have an actual buyer. So this is why it is so unbelievably important that you have these already created, 10 buyer packages and 10 seller packages. Go print out your pieces, bind them, make them look nice. I say put them all into a Tupperware container, like one of those big Tupperware boxes, and have it in your vehicle, so that when you go to a Starbucks and you're waiting in line to get your coffee and you hear the person behind you talking real estate, you're not going to give away a business card. People throw away business cards. Business cards, in my opinion, are not super helpful. They're not useful. You're going to hear the person behind you talking about real estate. You're going to get your coffee. Then you're going to walk outside to your car, open your Tupperware box, pull out your buyer package. You're going to go back into Starbucks. You're going to go say, I just wanted to say I just overheard you talking about real estate. That's my business. I specialize in helping buyers and sellers in this market, and I just wanted to give you a little gift. Here's a package, a great deal of information about buying a house. My contact information is in there. Even better if you can get their contact information so you can stay in touch, even better. But you're ready for business. You're open for business. You are likely to do that if you have your package already and sitting in your car. You will never do it. You will never do it if you happen to hear somebody in line talking and you don't actually have any item of value to give. So that is my 2 cents on having your packages complete. So go get your buyer presentation done, go get your listing presentation done, and go get your packages complete so that the energy that you're putting out to the universe is open for business. So let's go back to LAER Agent Services, where we started. We were down at this very first guides, presentations, brochures. I want to show you a couple other things. Then I'm going to have some other a couple of our other guests share some great information, and then I'll come back with some more stuff for the last hour. Okay, so first thing I want to point out, by the way, we have tons of resources here, NAR settlement resources. I keep it here. You guys all know how it all works now. When in 2024, when all the rules changed, we wrote our own book on all the new forms for the states we do business in. We wrote just a guide to guide agents through the process of all the new real estate forms. Anyways, so we still have that there. Most of you don't need it, but there are some helpful tools here. Specifically, the tools you will find helpful here are like number one, sometimes you really have a client that doesn't understand why they need representation. Like, why do I need a buyer rep? Why can't I go direct to the listing agent? We have some great articles here that we grabbed from all different resources so that you can have nice pieces that explain why somebody needs their own representation in the transaction. The other pieces that we have here that agents find quite helpful is that sometimes you have sellers who say, I don't understand why I have to pay a buyer agent. Why do I have to pay their agent? I don't get it. So we have some great pieces here that explain that as well, that they open up by a seller being open to the idea of paying a buyer agent, that the seller thereby expands the buyer pool for their property, and the bigger the buyer pool, just supply and demand, basically the bigger the buyer pool, the more that you're going to get for the property. So we have some great articles here that'll explain that, and that is under NAR settlement resources. I'm going to save the social media assistant for Sergio. Is going to give you guys kind of an overview of some of the other marketing resources before we move off this topic in a few minutes. We also, if you're a LAER agent, you guys know we have tons and tons of marketing resources, but sometimes there's stuff that you just really need that we don't already provide. So under special marketing requests, you can go ask for whatever you need. Our staff will create it for you. We also have a whole section here of open house resources. This is kind of cool. Some of the resources you'll find under here are number one, open house sign-in sheets that are a little different. My favorite open house sign-in sheet is this one. It opens in Canva, so you can make it your own. But I love this open house sign-in sheet because many agents just have like the lined paper, like, hey, sign here that you came in. But we're now in a market that in many areas, agents are seeking price reductions on properties. So imagine that you have a really good open house feedback form, that this is what they sign in with when they sign in to look at a property. That way you're doing two things simultaneously. You're collecting information, but also you're collecting data in case you have to ask for a price reduction on the listing at a later date. There's also these cool little welcome signs and things like that. What I love here too is we have a whole section of activity sheets for kids. I am a big proponent of, at every open house, setting up the kitchen table with stuff for kids to do. That way, if a family comes through to look at a property and they've got little ones with them, that the kids can stay occupied while the parents are looking at real estate. So we have just some coloring sheets, word search, design your own for sale sign, draw the perfect home. So just set up the kitchen table with a little area. So if there are kids that come to your open house, that you are prepared. Let's see, commercial resources. This is a really big one for us. Many of you have experienced a shift in the market over the last couple of years, so we're always looking for different ways that agents can go fill the gap with the change in the market. Where do I get the 10% I lost because the market's off a little bit? And one of the ways many agents are doing that is with commercial real estate. So we've been building out all of our commercial resources, including some really strong commercial classes for our agents. We add to this every month. And so like we have classes on 1031 exchanges. We have all kinds of classes on like environmental issues in commercial real estate, mastering commercial leases. That's a 4-part class. But also any of you guys that know me know that I'm constantly I've gone through, as I've gotten to learn commercial real estate alongside my team, teaching this, I've noticed I am an attorney as well, and it comes out occasionally that I've been rewriting all of the contracts for commercial real estate. They're horrible. So as we go along, I've been updating our tenant rep agreements, fee schedules, commercial tenant worksheets. So slowly but surely, we've built out this amazing platform just for commercial real estate for any of you guys that are interested in that. We also have like a commercial listing presentation here, stuff like that as well. And then let's see. We have a few other items, but before I go there, I think I'm going to have Craig Foley, who is our Chief Sustainability Officer, come on and just talk about some of the things that are. I don't know if you saw my article, by the way, Craig. My article in the newsletter this month is like, you are we're all sustainable agents. So that it's no longer like, do you have an interest in sustainability? That's how the conversation used to be. Like, do you want to build a niche in sustainability? And do you have interest in being a sustainable agent? Basically, the article that I wrote this month for our company newsletter was like, no, you are a sustainable agent. So hopefully you're a good one. So go learn it. So many of you guys know Craig Foley. He's like super realtor famous. He's like, I don't know. I'll take Craig Foley over like Orion Sirhan anytime because he is true fame, offering like changing the hearts and minds of real estate agents while also making an impact on the sustainability front on the earth. So welcome, Craig.
Thank you, Stacy. That's wicked nice of you. Talk about, the first thing we learn in real estate, right, is, overperform and undersell and under promise, right, or whatever that thing is, right. You just oversold me, Stacy, so it's going to be tough to beat that. But thank you very much. I'm gonna take Stace this today's presentation in a little bit different place than what I usually do. You can go to the Sustainability House and LAER Agent Services. There's a ton of resources there that are really fantastic that fit into all of the stuff that both Stacy and I care about. She is a green designated agent as well. Specifically around valuation. So I'm going to try to make that real, Stacy, for people that have that are on this call, because we talk about it a lot, but we haven't really gone into details of it. So what I just threw in the chat is from my my independent website, Sustainable Real Estate Consulting Services. So as Stacy knows, and many of you know, I have a business both in real estate education. I do a lot of work for NAR, teaching the green designation all across the United States, and a consulting business. So I've worked with Honeywell's and Lawrence Berkeley National Labs and the U.S. Department of Energy and Massachusetts Clean Energy Center in different projects in which they're looking at how to integrate sustainability in real estate, particularly in the valuation space. So this is a specific project that I sold before I joined this brokerage at the end of 2017 and 2018. And I'm going to make a case in this blog about the valuation difference. And, and believe me, I am not saying every green home is going to get a 22% per square foot price premium, right? This was an extreme project that was really cutting edge back in the day. But it's not unusual, Stacy, as you know, for a high performance home to, in today's marketplace, to get a 5% price premium and have that recognized in the appraisal report too. But there's a process for doing this, right? So I'm going to just try to make this real for everybody. So you can go, if you want to, you can download the case study right here that I'm going to take you to in just a second and follow along, use it as a reference guide if you so choose. So I'm going to go to that case study. Hopefully you can see this now, Stacy, seeing a different screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the project that I did was in Fort Hill of it's a neighborhood in Boston, in Roxbury, up by Fort Hill, in which our project's the one on the left, and we were competing against new construction down the street that on the back end of that property actually had garage units as well, which we did not have in this particular home. We had 4 condo units in those 2 buildings. They had 7 condo units in that building on the right. We sold all 4 of ours before 3 of theirs had sold in this marketplace. So it was a perfect setup for comparing a true high performance home project versus a code built project in Boston in 2017, 2018. So again, if you download that form, this is what you're looking at right now. Just a description of this particular project and what it offered. It was absolutely a super insulated building, super airtight. The blower door test came in at passive house standard levels, which are the most rigorous in the marketplace. These were giving off less than half of 1 air change per hour in the blower door test. So extremely focused on energy efficiency and airtight building product. We used, the builder used the cutting edge products that are now kind of standard in our marketplace. So, heat pumps, mini splits were part of this project, absolutely. Energy recovery ventilation systems, so we could ensure high quality ventilation in these homes for superior indoor air quality. It was LEED Platinum certified and Energy Star certified. If you know anything about LEED, that's the highest level of LEED certification. The LEED certification process is very rigorous, and for these 4 condos, the developer spent a little over $10,000 just for the LEED certification. They also had solar PV that we offered to the homeowners. They could buy the system as part of the purchase of the home, or they could choose not to. And in one of the cases here that you're about to see, the buyers chose not to do that. The seller moved that power through something called the Schedule Z to his own home, so it paid for his electricity usage, which is kind of an interesting play on all of this. I'm also going to talk about the fact that I was contacted by those buyers that chose not to purchase the solar and how much they regretted that opportunity now that they knew what the cost savings were for the homeowner right next to them that did choose to do this. This is the picture on the right is an example of a HERS score. So a blower door test is used to develop a HERS score for a home. You can see where typical HERS scores are for existing homes on the marketplace, and HERS score 100 refers to the 2006 code built home. And these 4 condos had HERS scores ranging from -14 to -22. They were energy positive. A HERS score of 0 has always been the holy grail. That's a home that's producing as much energy as it's using on an annual basis. And these homes were producing more than that because of the solar PV on the property. Interestingly enough, the homeowner in Unit 154, and you can see how I set up a paired sales analysis here, right? It's very similar to what appraisers do. But the homeowner in Unit 154 that purchased the solar with the home is literally invoicing the utility for the power that they supply to the grid. So instead of getting an energy bill, if you can imagine this, right? Instead of getting a utility cost bill from your utility, he's actually invoicing to the utility the excess power that he produces and gets paid for it, Stacy. I mean, it's just a completely different perspective on this, and that's why we need agents, green designated agents, which we have a ton of here at LAER, and Stacy's one of them, that know this process of high performance valuation, right? So you can see the paired sales analysis looking very much, a stack sheet of the 2 homes on the left from 152 and 154 Highland Street. You can see that I've highlighted the price per square foot difference that we sold for in this property. Now, both of these properties were built in or around $225 per square foot. And if you asked any buyer's agent or listing agent in Fort Hill in 2017 what the correct new construction price was for new construction, they're probably going to say $375 a square foot. You can see we were listed much higher than that, and we sold much higher than that as well because of this process of high performance home valuation that we're going to go through here. If you scroll down a little bit further on the stack sheets, you can see some of the real differences here in terms of the high performance features of the home compared to each other, including the solar PV, the LEED certification, the building envelope features. Very, very, very different, right? And one of the things, so I started this project with the builder before he had even broken ground. We worked together on putting together, Stacy, a piece that we did for the lenders that he went to, right? Describing this process. He ended up going with Leader Bank in the end because the woman that was the SVP of commercial lending at that point, Cheryl Glantz, had actually looked at and read and had questions about the whole process of high performance valuation. She was fascinated by it. And, you know, and part of the deal with Leader Bank was that we asked them to add some appraisers to their AMC list, their appraisal management company list, that specialized in high performance valuation. So there are a set of appraisers that have gone through the valuation of sustainable buildings that the Appraisal Institute offers. Now, part of this process is, you all know we can't pick a specific appraiser, but we can demand a qualified appraiser. This is part of what I teach when I do the green designation class, is that process for demanding a high performance appraiser that's gone through that valuation of sustainable buildings program. So again, we can't pick a specific appraiser, but we can demand a qualified one. And when I did that, I got a great appraiser, Jonathan Asker from North Atlantic Appraisals, who I think is one of the absolutely best. Again, I couldn't identify Jonathan in the material that I presented to the lender and to the AMC, but I can demand a qualified one, and I'm always happy when Jonathan shows up to value these homes, because in fact, the host-owned solar PV was added to the appraisal report, and it added $39,000 of contributory value in that appraisal report. Again, there's a way to do this, right? And if you go to the little sustainability house that we have in LAER Agent Services, you'll see that there's an appraisal addendum in there that's used by these appraisers that have gone through the evaluation of sustainable buildings program. You'll see that there are letters in there for demanding a qualified appraisal. We've laid this all out for you in terms of how to do this responsibly, right? And you can use this same approach for valuation if the home only has one asset, an asset like solar PV. And if the homeowner owns that system, we can look at the remaining life of the system and add contributory value. Might be $20,000 to $25,000. In some markets in Massachusetts and Florida, Stacy, we're seeing a slowdown in the marketplace, right? This could actually save a deal to have that additional contributory value for host-owned solar PV. So I don't know, Stacy, I just wanted to make this real for people to understand that this is actually part of the marketplace. We talk about it all the time, and I don't think I've done a very good job of really explaining or helping realtors understand that there's a real price premium for these homes when you have a listing agent that's knowledgeable and competent, that's a little bit more fluent in this language of sustainability, of high performance homes, of building envelopes, of heating and cooling systems, which move the ball forward, like heat pump hot water heaters, and induction cooktops. I'm very fluent in that language. That's why the developer builder used me for this project. And I'd like to think that's part of the reason why we were able to sell them at the price premium that we're able to do. So I just wanted to share that, kind of take this in a slightly different direction, Stacy, than the way we normally do. Hopefully that's helpful. Oh, and I have one other thing I want to just announce here. So Stacy and I have been talking about this in the background. We're gonna, and actually, I think John Grimaldi's on this on the present in the participants right now. John, you inspired another thing. You had a great question you sent into Happy Agent about the LAER sustainability report. I thought it was really fantastic, and it's really inspired Stacy and I to take the next step with your suggestion, which is to create a focus group. It will be about an hour and a half long. Stacy and I will do it. You'll get an invitation from Stacy. And Stacy, I would suggest that you volunteer John Grimaldi because he started all of this stuff. But you can certainly volunteer on your own. You can contact us at Happy Agent if you want to volunteer with this. But Stacy will volunteer you if needed. So we'll hopefully be producing this in the next, I don't know, month and a half, where we have a sit down via Zoom, hopefully with some Florida agents as well, Massachusetts agents, Connecticut agents, wherever we are. We want you on board here so that we can talk about what we're doing and how we can deliver better services. And I'll just say too, Stacy, that working for some of the large brokerages out there, they bring some value, definitely, but this is the real value of dealing with an independent brokerage and a thought leader like our CEO, Stacy Alcorn, that you have so much, you have such a great ability to be in one-on-ones with Stacy, which you just wouldn't get with some of these large brokerages. And the way we move, the way we change to deal with the environment, the changing environment of real estate that we're in, you just don't get that kind of change and kind of nimbleness to move as you get with our brokerage. So that's kind of the reason why I'm here and why I appreciate you so much, Stacy. So again, just wanted to take that in a different direction,
Awesome stuff. Thank you. And as always, if you guys have a chance, go read the newsletter. I showed you guys the LAER Den newsletters right at the top of our LAER agent services. And it was kind of like a call for all the people that still say, I don't need to know any of it. I mean, there's no choice in order to represent clients today with like weather issues, but also all the different technologies coming out.
Yeah.
You have to, I feel like it's just minimum. Someday the green designation is going to be like the lead paint. Like you just got to do it every time you want to renew your license. You got to go through a lead paint course or fair housing course and sustainability. That's how it will eventually be.
Some people just aren't comfortable with it, Stacy, still there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And, it's partly political, which is really too bad. But the fact of the matter remains, right? If you have a homeowner that's made these kinds of improvements on their home and they're asking you to list it and you don't know about this stuff, I mean, do the right thing and refer it to one of the green designated agents at our firm or your firm, wherever you are, and have them serve the client and get a referral. Mm-hmm. Do the right thing for the client, for goodness sakes,
Yes. And one of the things I always say, what's so cool about our group at LAER that's very much into sustainability, it's super interesting. What's interesting about our company is we have so many agents that are like total far right and far left. And many of them come together through sustainability, which I think is awesome. And that's the one place that they can agree on certain things. So it's really awesome to watch from the outside because it's like nobody's fighting about what their political beliefs are. They both believe that this is information that's really important for clients. So they come together and chat. And by the way, in the process of doing that, they get a little taste of where the other person is coming from politically. Like, hey, I get it. That's why you think this. This is why I think that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we think about that stuff because none of it really we can influence, sadly. Like all this stuff politically, left and right, like we as humans have very little influence on what is happening in the world. But what we can influence is the stuff that like this we can be better educated about what resources are available for clients, what the answers are when somebody's worried about, like I just spent a whole week in Florida with our Florida agents, and like there's real concerns around homeowners insurance and stuff like that. And so the green designation makes a difference because it by the more education you have, the more control you have, in my opinion, that at least you can have answers for people.
Yeah, and it's a fluency in the language, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
the same kind of thing, right? This is a different part of the real estate language, but it's definitely part of the real estate language. I mean, we're
Yes.
seeing homes transact every day, Stacy, with
Yeah.
solar PV on the rooftop, right? I mean, it's just part of the deal now. I agree. It's
100%.
transaction. Let's get past ourselves and serve the client.
100%. All right, good stuff. We have so
Yeah.
much more. Can you guys believe 2 hours has already flown by and we haven't gotten past like page 1 of the program guide yet? So we have so much that we still need to cover. All right, so we're back at LAER Agent Services. Couple other things. I want you guys to hear from Sergio, who's the head of our marketing department, in a few minutes. But a couple other things I just wanted to go through really quick. Um, Number one, for those of you that like to have a newsletter that you send out to your clients on a monthly basis, we have a phenomenal one. It's called the Roar Report. You can change the name if you want. You can change any of the content. It comes out on the first of every month, and it's for consumers. It's a consumer-facing newsletter that you print out, put into your packages. We have an 8.5 by 11 version and 11 by 17, which is the big printer copy, the big printer paper you would fold it. But basically, it makes it so that if you want to stay in touch with your client on a monthly basis using a newsletter, we have already created it. So you just have to go in and customize it. And we put big red circles on the pieces that you have to customize, like your name and phone number. But really, you can customize any of this. So you can take out entire sections and put your own stuff in. Why does that matter? It is because one of the pieces that we talk about in a lot of the training we do is building a sphere of influence around vendors. So we have a whole protocol for exactly how to do that. But one of the ways to do it is to get belly to belly and interview people about their business and what they're doing. I talked to John Grimaldi, who's on this call today. I called him the other day because he's going through the LAER coaching program, and I happened to see that he's doing his first event. And I was chatting with him, and he's doing the stuff. That's why I said you're going to have an incredible business, John, because you're actually executing on stuff. So he went and did an interview with, I think it was like a car service company of something, like a car repair type of business. Anyways, he went and did that. He went and did his interview with somebody. So what do you do after the interview? Like, getting the most important part of interviewing a vendor is getting belly to belly with a human being, because business owners have their own sphere of influence because they're doing the same thing we are. They're trying to build their business. So that's why the whole vendor program is a phenomenal way to build a really big sphere of influence really fast. But you you reach out to people who own businesses, and you say, can I come grab a coffee, and I want to chat with you about your business. Why did you buy the business, or why do you do this? What made you get into this line of business? What makes you different from other people in the business? So John did that. That's amazing. So now he's top of mind with that human because we live in a world where there is no belly to belly contact anymore. Our friends are people on Facebook. Um, so he went and did that part. The next step to that is writing a short article and sticking it into a ROAR report. And now you have already done the interview. You can now just go to ChatGPT if you want to and put in all the answers that the person said about why they started their business, how they got into the business, what makes them different. Put it into ChatGPT. Say, write me a 150-word article for my newsletter about this business. You then plug it into your ROAR report and you print them out. You then bring the ROAR report to the place where you interviewed the business owner and say, can I leave 50 of these here? I've featured your business on the cover. And of course, you're featured on it too as a real estate professional. But now you're providing another level of value. So you already went and did the interview. So you already have that rapport. Now you're delivering even more. And I always say the last year, I keep saying every time I go to the little hardware store where I live in Massachusetts, I get so excited because at the hardware store, right at the front where people check out, I went there one day last year to buy paint, and right there is a LAER report. One of our agents did exactly that. She went and interviewed them, wrote a little article, and now every time I go to the hardware store, she refills them. So people are they go to check out and they're like, oh, what's happening here? I'll take a copy of the ROAR report. And now she has become like a little billboard in their living room or their kitchen table for real estate. So ROAR report, we change it up every month. And the value that I see is you can use this for your vendor program. But also some agents use it. Some agents mail these to their entire database on a monthly or a quarterly basis. And sometimes they feature in the ROAR report like their favorite mortgage person who helps subsidize the cost of that. So that is our ROAR report. And let me go back to LAER agent services. Couple other things before we move past the marketing section. One piece I wanted to show you guys is if you're a LAER agent, you need any logos, any of our LAER logos or realtor logos or anything like that, we have a house here that you can go click on. We also have a whole section of seasonal pop-by tags. So if you're practicing, for example, our Algorand program, one of the pieces of that program is to get out and meet clients or past clients or prospects each week with a small item to hand them so that you have a reason to go knock on the door and say hello. These are just pop-by tags, so you can just go buy some giveaways like seeds or something like that. Or we have Easter is this weekend. If you practice that religion, then we have like a little Easter peeps tags. There's tons of tags here just so that you can make your own little giveaways. And let's see. We also have a listing description generator and an agent bio generator. So you guys can go into ChatGPT now and do these on your own. Sometimes agents feel like ChatGPT is a little bit clunky. So if you don't like using ChatGPT, you can just go to this listing description generator. It'll ask you a few questions about the property, and then it'll email you a description so that you can cut and paste that into your listing stuff, your MLS description. By the way, these don't go to us. They're only emailed to you. So if you're a LAER agent, don't assume that we got a copy of this. We don't. These are just for you to use, but then you can cut and paste it. One thing I like to say to anybody using our listing description generator, double check for fair housing violations. ChatGPT does make mistakes. So you have to read the description and make sure that you have not made a fair housing violation by accident. Agent Bio Generator is here as well. If you guys are doing the LAER algorithm program, you know that one of the things all of you should do, by the way, if you want to add to your list of things you're going to execute on today, let's put number 4. You're going to go update your Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com profiles. And you're going to put a good bio. So if you need help writing your bio, this will do that for you. Again, this doesn't go to us. So it'll only email whoever fills it out. You don't have to be a LAER agent. You just go fill out information, answer these questions about yourself, and the system emails you a bio to use on all of your profiles. Everybody should update your Zillow profile, your Homes.com profile, and your Realtor.com profile. Why? Because the first thing people do in the world we live in when they meet somebody new is they go Google the person. So if you're working with buyers and sellers, oftentimes the first thing the person is going to do is go Google your name. And what matters is the first page of the search. So go Google yourself and see what comes up. Put your name in real estate and see what comes up on the first page of Zillow. For most of you, it's going to be your website, your company's website, your Zillow profile, Homes.com profile, and Realtor.com profile. All of those sites give you a free profile. So you have a profile whether you know it or not. And most people don't even know they have those profiles, which means they haven't updated it since they got their real estate license. So it's super outdated. It might have an old brokerage that you work for. It probably has an old photo on there, if any. And what's important to note is people are judging you by it, because the first thing people do is Google you. If you're meeting a new customer, they're going to go Google you, and they're going to see your old Realtor.com profile from 13 years ago, where you don't even look like that anymore, and it's got an old brokerage, an old bio. Go update those. That's like 30 minutes worth of work, so that when somebody Googles you, you look amazing, and that they match, and you have a professional profile and a professional image of yourself. So that's one small thing that could result in a couple extra transactions a year, so that people aren't meeting you at an open house for 5 seconds or 5 minutes and then saying, that person seemed super nice, I'm gonna go Google them. And then they Google you and they're like, okay, why does this site say they work at this company and this site says they work at this company? And was this the person? This doesn't look like the person that we just met. Go update those things. Those things matter. So go update those as number 4 on your list. Update your profiles. I hope you guys are writing your list too, because I'm writing your list for things you're going to execute on. So number 1, you're going to have your buyer presentation. You're going to 2, go create your listing presentation. 3, you're going to do your buyer, seller, investor packages. And 4, you're going to update your profiles on Zillow, Homes.com, and Realtor.com. So I have one more tiny little piece I want to show you. But before I do that, I want to invite Sergio on. Sergio's the head of our marketing and tech department. He's going to just give you a really quick rundown on some other marketing resources available. So welcome, Sergio.
Thanks, Stacy. I'm going to share my screen. All right, can you share my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so I'm just going to go over a couple of programs that we have for our LAER agents. Now, everything that you have seen so far is available to any agents. You can go to LAERagentservices.com and access all of that. None of it is password protected. But the following things are for our LAER agents. Just a couple of quick programs that I'm going to go over. First is the LAER Marketing Bundle. So the Layer Marketing Bundle is this package that we create for listings that we send out via email, and it's powered by Zara. Zara is very similar to Canva. It's a design platform where you can make edits to any of the designs. You can share the designs just like Canva. But the main feature is that you're able to connect it to the MLS. So we're able to bring in all the images, all of the listing information from the MLS. With Canva, it used to be that you would download all the pictures first or upload the pictures that your photographer sent to you and upload them to Canva. You can still do that, and we have tons of Canva templates. But with Zara, we just make it really easy to connect with the MLS, and it's as simple as putting in your MLS ID. Let me give you a quick demo of what that looks like. So I do have a Zara training class that we do every month, and you're free to join that. You can go to laerrealty.com/training to see the schedule. So I'm not going to go too deep into Zara, but I'll give you a quick overview of what it looks like to create these. Now, these are created for you automatically. You'll receive an email that looks just like this, but you can also create these ahead of time, or you can create them manually. Let me give you a quick show. So these are called playbooks. So I'm signed into Zara, and we go down to this playbook section. And let's say that I have an open house coming up. I can click on generate. And it's going to ask you for an MLS ID number. This is one that I already had saved up. You can specify the date and time, and then we are going to click on the agent. Right now, you will pop up if you are the listing agent, but if you're covering someone else, you can add your own name in there, and it'll bring in your information. Now I'm going to click on generate. It will then generate the playbook. It does take some time. It takes around 5 minutes for it to generate. But you will receive an email once it has been generated. So you can kind of click generate. You can close the tab. You can grab a coffee. You will always receive an email just saying that, hey, these documents are ready to go. So in this case, we are going to go to one that I have already generated here. Here we have a just listed playbook. Now we create the social media pieces as well as some print pieces as well. We have some listing sheets and flyers. For all of these, you're able to go in, and for example, this social media piece, we can click on it. We can download it, right? We can download it to our desktop and then post on Facebook. But there is also a button to post. We can click post and then connect any of our social media or any of these 3 social media channels. So Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. If we click on Facebook, it will then ask you to choose your page. This is one caveat. You do need a business page. I run a bunch of pages, so you're not going to see all of that, but you do need a Facebook business page to post. Now, if you can always repost on your personal page, right? So you can post on your business page and then share on your personal page. You'll notice that it will generate a caption for you. So this brings in, details about your listing, but as well as contact information for you, and then it'll do some suggested hashtags. You can edit any of this before it goes out. Again, this is AI generated, so just make sure that everything is accurate. You can also rewrite the caption if you want maybe something different. And then when you're ready to post, you can just hit post. This will actually post, so I'm not going to do it this time. And then we can see that our documents for our open house have been generated. So if you click on go to documents, it'll bring you straight there. But you can always find them if you go to my listings, right? And then it will bring up a list of your listings, right? In this case, it was 11 Pontiac. And then in this folder, it'll give you all of the playbooks that you have ever generated. So we have our just listed, but now we also have our open house. So if we click on this, we can go here. We have an open house social media piece that we can post like we saw before, but we can also go in and edit. I clicked on edit, and just like Canva, it opens up this little editor, it will bring in all of the branding and then all of the images. Now, any of these we can switch around, right? So you'll notice that there's this real estate button on the side here where it brings in not just the listing photos, but all of the listing information. Basically anything that's on the MLS for this listing, we can bring in as data. In this case, I want to switch out one of the photos. Maybe I want 2 interior photos. There's 1 exterior here. And this is based on the order that you upload these to the MLS, right? That's what it will base this order from. But, in this case, we can always go in and edit any of this. So let's say I want more of the living room here. I can just click and drag and it will snap right into place. From here, I can move the photo to kind of adjust it to make sure it makes sense. And there we go. Any of this text I can edit. It will bring in any changes too. If you had a price improvement, it'll bring in that from the MLS automatically. But you can make these ahead of time. If you have a price improvement coming up, you can go in, click in here and change it to whatever you want. You can make any of the text bigger or smaller. You can change any of the colors if you want, just like Canva. And then when you're done, you can just click on download. You can download in many formats, JPEG, PNG, or you can click on share, and then we have the option to share on social media as well. Now, this design you can actually share with any other agent or with us by clicking on invite collaborators. So if, let's say you are working on a design and you need us to look at it just to make sure maybe you're having issues with one of the elements on your design, you can click on invite collaborators. You can add my email address or happyagent@LAERrealty.com, and then we will receive it on our end, and then we'll have access to your design. We can make changes, we can fix whatever issue you had, and then you will see those changes appear on your account. Everything is stored on the cloud, right? You're not saving things on your computer. You're not saving the original designs on your computer, so everything is safe on the cloud. You can access it from any computer with an internet connection. There are also other templates available. If we go to this template section, we're always adding more. For example, we have the 4-page brochure. Now, you can always request one of these from Happy Agents, but really what we do is we go to Zara and generate one of these for you. And it's very easy. You just give it the MLS ID, just like we did for our playbook. Let's choose this same house. We'll click on Fill My Design. Now, it will bring in all of the images, so it does take a little longer. But once it has brought in all of the data, we'll see that now we have our 4-page brochure generated. Now you can go in. In this case, we can make the description a little bigger, but we can add anything. We can change any of these features. We can change any of the photos just by going back to real estate, clicking on listing photos, and then we have all of the photos uploaded to the MLS. We can even add things like the floor plans, right? So let's say I want to maybe add this floor plan instead of these images. I can just click on this. I can remove the images, and now we have our floor plan. So it's very easy to edit these. And then when you're done, when you're ready to print out, these print out on 11 by 17. We're going to print from home and download a PDF. And then this will download a PDF that is ready to print out at any of our copy machines in our offices. They can all handle 11 by 17 paper. So that's Zara. There are some other templates that you can use and you can poke around. I'm not going to cover everything. Again, we do have training every month for Zara. You can check out LAERrealty.com/training to check out when our next training is going to be. The next thing I'm going to go over is our monthly social media. So at the beginning of the month, so you probably got this on on April 1st, we send out social media pieces. We have 6 to 8 social media pieces that we send out that cover 4 weeks of content. And then these social media pieces are meant to be used alongside our social media library, which then has even more. It has 1,000 plus pieces, social media pieces that we have we have collected throughout these past maybe 5 or 6 years. So let me give you a quick demo of what that looks like as well. You'll receive an email that looks just like this, right? So this is the one that we sent out on April 1st. And then we have our images. And not only our images are we sending out, we're also sending out suggested captions, right? We had Passover recently. We have a suggested caption for this. We include major holidays, but the majority of our posts are real estate related, right? And then the major holidays are going to be, actual holidays. You're not going to get like National Ice Cream Day. There's plenty of places to get those from, but what we want to give you is good content. So that's real estate related. Now you can use any of these suggested captions. All of these open up in Canva, but you can also just download them directly to your computer and post. If you open this up on your cell phone, you can also download directly to your cell phone and then post on something like Instagram. You can edit any of these in Canva. You can switch out the pictures. You can edit any of the text. You can switch out the photos. And then you receive these both via email and text message. So if you are a LAER agent and you didn't see the text message or you didn't get the email, let us know and we can make sure that everything is working. And then, like I mentioned, these are supposed to be used alongside our library. So we go to this social media library. Here we have even more content. We have Facebook covers. We have different posts covering buying and selling. Those are more real estate related. But we also have mindsets and different quotes. These are also real estate related as well. And these are all Canva templates, and you can go through all of these. Again, you can click on load more to see all of them, and it's around 5-6 years worth of content. So, you can also use the search to kind of narrow them down as well. These all open up in Canva, but you can also download them directly. So, if once you have all your content kind of set up and you feel like you need some more, you can just click on this LAER Marketing Center and then view the rest of the content. All right. So that does it for me. Thank you.
All right. Awesome stuff. Thank you, Sergio. All right. We still have lots of content and we only have 40 minutes left. So I'm going to go super fast. Let's see. Let me reshare my screen. So we are back at LAER Agent Services, and we're still under the main section, which is marketing, branding, and presentations. One button we didn't touch on is signs, apparel, and marketing. And first of all, if you're a LAER agent, there's links here to get for sale signs, open house signs, apparel, etc. Also, there's some buttons down at the bottom for print marketing companies. I'm going to go through a few of the technologies that I think are super important for agents in business today. But those links you can find where I just showed you. They're under signs, apparel, and print marketing. So let me share this so we can see it better. Okay, so I always keep like a short list of little technologies that I think agents must adopt in order to stay successful in real estate. And I'm going to share those with you today. I'd like to point out that I don't get paid anything from these companies, so I don't want you to think I'm telling you to do this because I get something out of it. I'm telling you this because it's really important. The first one of the things agents ask when they join our brokerage is, are there any monthly tech fees? And we have an optional $39 per month technology bundle, and it includes 3 products. Fellow, which is a set it and forget it marketing system, which I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. Real Scout, which I'm going to have Ashley give you a quick demo before the end of today. And that is for shopping for real estate, like setting your buyers up on home searches. And the third part is an agent website. Agent websites, in my opinion, don't actually matter. I think they're like a business card that you're not going to be generating a great deal of business from your actual website in and of itself, unless you're doing like a product like Sync or Real Geeks where you're doing paid advertising around it. Otherwise, websites don't matter. Our $39 a month tech bundle does include a really nice website. So if somebody happens to Google you, they'll find you and you'll have a beautiful website. But what actually matters is some of these other products. Number one, part of the $39 a month tech bundle is Fellow. For agents that are not LAER, this will cost about $300 a month. We subsidize the cost because it's so important to our agents to have this, but even at $300 a month, I feel like you have to have it. Basically, what it does is it sends an email to everybody in your database every 2 weeks, and it lets them know. It's just an email that says home values are up in your area, or home values are down, or home values are flat. Click here to get your home value. Then they click on it and the system generates a home value for them. Yes, it's an automated valuation. So that means that sometimes the number one objection that real estate agents have is, oh, it's not 100% accurate, so I don't like to send it to my customers. Of course, it's not 100% accurate. If it was 100% accurate, they don't need you. So of course it's not 100% accurate. But what it does is it signals that this person is interested in what their home value is. So we look at this every month and we evaluate, like this is our February stats. So 65 people in February came through as leads in February, meaning 65 people in our agent emails clicked on, I want my home value report. So that signals something about somebody in your database. What Fellow does really well is stays in the inbox of your clients or anybody in your database and provides value. And the reason this is important is because Rocket Mortgage is doing the same thing. So I've said this multiple times that I have a mortgage that was sold to Rocket Mortgage. And so I get to see firsthand. And by the way, Rocket Mortgage is the same entity as Redfin, which is a real estate brokerage. So my mortgage is with Rocket Mortgage. And this is like since January. Since January, a couple times a week, they're like, hey, did you know this is review your equity? Did you know that your value is up? An update about your equity in your property. So the reason you have to be in the inbox of the people of your database is because their mortgage company is probably already there doing the same thing. Zillow does the same thing. Zillow is constantly giving a home value report. So you have to be in their inbox as well as their real estate professional so that they don't have to get their value from Rocket. They don't have to get their value from Zillow, that they are hearing from you twice a month with their value. So as you can see, this is my Rocket Mortgage. Same thing. Rocket Mortgage is doing it as well, which is why we have to do it. That's just one part of it. So it's going to send to everybody in your database every 2 times a month what their home value is. If the person clicks on it, which means it's going to generate the home value report now, if they do that, then it notifies you. It then also reorganizes your entire database. Most agents have a couple hundred people in their database, but they treat them all the same. because you don't know which ones in the database are going to buy or sell. What Fellow does is says, hey, you have 200 people in your database. Pay extra attention to these 10. These 10 are probably going to do something in the next 12 months. In addition to that, anytime you do a mailer, an advertisement, your email signature, I think you should be sharing your Fellow landing page everywhere. So that you do a mailing, hey, scan for your free property valuation or automated value report or whatever you call it. You should have a lead capture everywhere that your name goes. You have a lead capture, and your lead capture is your Fellow landing page. When somebody clicks that they want to get the value of their property, under Fellow, you don't actually have to give them the value. The system's going to create the value. It'll say, okay, your property's worth $500,000, and it will tell them these are some of the comps in the area. So you don't actually have to do the automated value report. Your job is to pick up the phone and now call the person. So you see they want their value, you should immediately call and say, hey, I noticed that you were looking at your home value. What did you think of the value? Too high, too low, or just right? That is your icebreaker. That gives you a reason to call the person and communicate about real estate. So this is kind of what it looks like. The emails change up all the time, so it'll say different. So it's not the same exact email every 2 weeks. They change it up a little. This one says explore your home's current value. It then has them verify that it's the right address, or they can add additional properties, and then they get to confirm some details. The reason for the confirmation is it also allows, when they confirm their name and email address, it's also putting them on notice, basically, that you can now contact them. So even if they're on a do not call list, if they are in your Fellow account and they click on the home value report, you don't have to worry now about the do not call list because they have now authorized you to call them. The system will then give them the value. And you as an agent are advertised throughout the landing page. It has multiple places where the consumer can click to get even more information. And the more they click, the more interested in doing something they are. So they can, the email allows them to click to get a home value report. There's also a little button where it says list with us. That is somebody that's requesting an actual market analysis. There's also a button that says cash offer. That means the people are raising their hand to say, I'd be interested in doing something if I had a cash offer. And then there's a button if they're interested in buying. There's also a button to contact the agent. The Fellow landing page, once they get their home value report, has 4 places that they can contact you so that they can continue to raise their hands to show how interested they are. And the most important part is it really just reorganizes your entire database. You can look at any of your people within your database and see how many times they're opening these emails. Are they clicking through the home value reports? Things like that. The second part is our Real Scout. I'll have Ashley come on in about 15 minutes to give you guys a download on the Real Scout platform. But we are passionate about Real Scout because it's like being your own Zillow. So a lot of times people go to Zillow to search real estate because we're not offering them a better alternative. For many real estate agents, they're using MLS as the search venue for real estate. So they go in and sign up their client to get emails for new listings, stuff like that. And the experience that many MLSs offer is very underwhelming. So the client's like, I want to see houses. Please keep sending me houses. I want to see pretty pictures of homes. And they're not going to get that through an MLS search experience. So they go to Zillow. And we know that if they go to Zillow, there's a chance that they're going to get led down a yellow brick road to another real estate agent. Real Scout is like being your own Zillow, that they're going to get accurate, up-to-date listings. It's going to text them, it's going to email them, it's going to keep building content, which is houses to look at, and send it to them regularly. Just like Fellow, what's cool is Real Scout also has a landing page. So you get your own unique link that you can share with people. So you can put it on your social media and stuff like that and say, hey, click here to start searching for houses. The other cool thing that I love about Real Scout is they have this idea that you can curate properties for people to look at to generate interest. So for example, imagine each day you just curate really interesting search links for people. So you can go onto your social media and say, curious about waterfront properties. Here's all the waterfront properties available for sale in Massachusetts. So you create this curated link. You share it on your social media. Then you, when somebody clicks on it, they're now being entered into your Real Scout database. So now they're going to keep getting, just like Zillow, they're going to keep getting emails. They can change their search, but now instead of the customer going to Zillow, they're searching on your Real Scout. Another really cool technology that I think is phenomenal is MLS mailings. This is a set it and forget it mailing company. They do just listed, just sold postcards. What makes them super unique is it hooks directly to your MLS. So you don't have to go in and remind yourself to do your mailings each time. You set it once. You say, okay, every time a house goes under agreement, or every time a house comes, I get a new listing, I want 100 just listed postcards to go to the neighbors. You set it up once. Every time you get a listing, it's going to go to the neighbors. Every time you sell a property, you can say, I want 100 postcards to go to the neighbors. The next cool technology is thepersonalmarketingco.com, TPMCO.com. Super passionate about this one because there are statistics that basically say that most consumers say, like something like 88% or something, most consumers say they would use the same real estate agent again if they were to buy or sell their house. In reality, the number's way lower. A very small percentage of consumers use the same agent that they used the first time. And that is because real estate agents are notoriously bad at following up, especially after the sale has been made. So we're so busy like doing the transaction that once that transaction's done, we're moving on to the next transaction. And because this one just closed, the likelihood of that turning into another transaction right now means we take our focus off of it. What TPMCO does is you pay one time. You pay a $48 charge. For $48 that you just pay once, your client is going to receive 21 mailings from you over a 5-year period. 5 years is that key number because many people 5 years out are thinking about selling or upgrading or downgrading. And so you're staying in touch for 5 years. I say to agents, this is a $48 insurance policy so that just in case you forget to keep in touch with your client, the system is staying in touch for you. The mailers are magazines, their postcards, their letters. Here's that stat I said. Okay, 89, this is according to the National Association of Realtors, that survey they do every year. 89% of buyers would use their agent again or recommend their agent to others. However, only 11% of homeowners actually do. That's because we're not staying in touch. So it's an amazing follow-up campaign. And just like I said, it's your insurance policy. Another cool piece of technology that we haven't launched yet, but we're launching any day. This is built by Sergio in our tech department, but we have this new countdown to closing app. that basically what it does is you upload your contract into the system, and the contract is like, here's the date the PNS has to be signed, here's the date that inspection is over, here's the mortgage date. What this system is, you upload all of your contract. You then put the names and cell phone and email addresses of the key players, like your client, the mortgage person, the title person, and the system just constantly emails them and texts them as important contract dates are coming up. So those are some of the cool game-changing technologies that we feel people should be using for their businesses. Okay, so before I have a couple pieces. I want to have Ashley in a few minutes give you a quick rundown on the Real Scout, which is that you being your own Zillow. But before I do that, I just want to go through this agent growth and development section, because this is a really robust section as well that I mean, I could spend 2 hours just going through this section. But at least I want to give you a briefing of it so that you know it exists. You can come back and explore in your own time. First of all, these 3 buttons are all around education, coaching, learning, etc. If you click on the first button, classes, meetings, and coaching, there's a few different things here. Number 1, you can see our training calendar. So our upcoming training, we have either the Google Calendar, because we do live training on all sorts of things every week, and all of our training is open to all agents of all firms. So you can go here and look at all the upcoming training classes and how to participate. We also have a printable training calendar, so you can go check that out. This is cool just to print out and hang it in your office or put it in your appointment scheduler. That's our printed calendar. I mentioned earlier that a lot of our classes kind of focus around energy, and so we also have a series that I deliver personally every Monday morning, and it's called Quantum Sparks. And these are short sessions. Sometimes they're a little longer, sometimes they go to an hour, but a lot of them are 20 to 30-minute sessions. But all of this is, in my opinion, the most important piece to building a business is aligning your energy so that you can receive business. So a lot of Quantum Sparks is about the energy of the words and the things our language, our words, the subtext of information we put out. It talks about everything, but every week we do that live. But you can go watch. We have like a year's worth of those Quantum Sparks classes if that's something that interests you for your business. Every person here, hopefully you've already done this, but if not, we have a massive YouTube station. Massive. Look at this, 501 videos. And this is all relative, new, great content. Tons and tons and tons of classes, everything you could possibly need for your business. We teach it. We either have it coming in upcoming classes, or you can go watch the recorded versions from the last year or 2. We also have, I'll show you more of this, but we have a whole training system on how to get to 30 transactions a year. I'll show you where you can get that in a moment as well. And then we also have a new agent resource center. If you're a brand new agent watching today and you just need help doing deals, like the paperwork and stuff like that, we've been building out these little tutorial videos for every state we do business in. Little booklets and videos on how to do a transaction as far as the paperwork is concerned. What do these forms mean? How should I fill them out? Things like that. So you can go through. We keep adding to this every week. I think I have a couple more I have to add today. But everything you need, if you're a new agent, everything you need for doing a transaction in one of the states that we do business in is at laerrealty.com/transaction blueprint. Going back to the Layer agent services, I do want to go down to still under agent growth and development. If you click on business plans and growth systems, we have a couple really cool tools here. Number one is the Algorithm system. This is the guide we wrote to getting to 30 transactions a year. It is step-by-step instructions to get to 30 transactions a year. So you can actually go download our guide here. You can download the workbook, and we have a series of 12 classes that go with the program. So go check out the 12 classes, download the book if you want to get to 30 transactions. We also have a goal setting tools little section we put here. This is kind of new. This was we did with some goal setting tools for agents for the 2026 year. You can go check those out. Also, many of you guys are always like, where can I get leads? Where can I get leads? We have a link here with all the referral fee-based lead platforms. So if you click on any of these, like Expert Home Offers, Referral Exchange, Effective Agents, you can sign up for referral-based leads. That means they charge 35 or 40% and they start sending you leads. So go sign up. And by the way, even if it says there's a waiting list, keep signing up. They put in these waiting lists to see who's going to keep pushing because they want people who are not going to stop at a stop sign. We also just added, many of our agents use these seller lead platforms. So this is kind of new. I just added recently. These are companies that typically charge around $200 a lead. And these are seller lead platforms. So that's some new links that we just added recently. We also have a traditional business planning workbook. Algorithm is very structured. That's like step by step what you have to do. It's based on 7 simple checklists. What you're looking at here is a traditional business plan. Like if you Googled real estate business plan, that's what this is. But this is great for teams, like to get your team together and say, hey, let's all get together and figure out what we're going to do for this year for business. It's a great team building exercise. And then we also have another type of business planning tool called a simple plan. This one is just based on the idea that if you want to make a huge shift in the trajectory of your business, you have to become a different version of who you already are. And this helps you kind of evaluate who you are right now and who is the version of you that can get to the higher production level. So all different resources here for you guys to click through and kind of find what aligns best with you. With that, I think what I'll do, I think what we'll do is let's have Ashley do a quick breakdown of the Real Scout platform.
Hi, Stacy, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, you need to accept the request that I can share. Okay, let's see. There we go. Now I can share. Perfect. All right. Can you see my screen, Stacy? There it is. Okay.
Yeah, I could see it.
So as Stacy said, this is just a quick 10-step guide on why can I not present this? It's not, oh,
Yeah,
they changed it. That's why. Okay. So this is just a quick 10-step guide on how to set up your Real Scout app. Of course, there's an app for it. There's 2 versions. There's one for the consumers, one for the agents. If you are an agent and you do have Real Scout, you're going to want the Real Scout agent dashboard. The way to tell the difference quickly is the agent one. It's always going to have a pro banner across the left top corner. And it's always going to have a white house where the consumer version is going to have a black house with a white background. and it's just going to say Real Scout Home Search. If you don't see the agent dashboard, you're not going to be able to sign in unless you set yourself up as a consumer. Now, each agent has a unique link where they can set up, as Stacy was mentioning earlier, any property, say in Drake between 500 and 650, right? They can set that up. They can share that link on Facebook. They can send it in an email. They can text it to their clients. Any way that you can market this link as well. And as Stacy mentioned earlier, anytime a potential client, even if they already are a client of yours and they already are in Real Scout and they click on that link, you're still going to be able to see their activity within your live feed. You can use the unique link to, again, set up different searches. So if you are a licensee in multiple states, you can have the multiple search links. Now, I always get this question, Ashley, I'm licensed in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Can I have both MLSs in Real Scout? You can. Now, if you do have more than one MLS in Real Scout, the default data feed right here is going to be cross MLS basic search. So with the basic search, you're not going to get the more customized search fields such as a school district or school boundaries as you would with just one MLS. So if you have a client who's looking in, say, New Hampshire and Mass, this is great because you can have it search New Hampshire and Mass MLS at once, and you don't have to create multiple searches. If you do use Real Scout and you have a client that you're setting up on just one state, you're just going to click the drop down arrow and then select the state that you want, whether it be MLS, PIN, or Maine. New Hampshire, you will have to select residential property, residential lease, commercial sale. New Hampshire breaks it down into categories in Real Scout, whereas other states, it's just all clumped together. And then you will specify the type, whether it's commercial, a lease, residential, or single family when you're setting up the criteria. Super simple ways you can add a client. You can click on the button on the top right. It will bring up a box where you enter their information, and then you can set up the search that way. Or if you have a CSV file and you want to just upload a CSV file instead of inputting clients manually, let's say you have 250 clients in a CSV file, you can click contacts over on the left navigation panel, click contacts, and then over on the right, import contacts. I will say there is a caveat. So if you do have a CSV file, you do need to download the specific Real Scout format. And then once you have your CSV file formatted the way Real Scout wants, you can then upload it. If you don't do it that way, it's not going to upload properly and you will receive errors. Also, you can set up to have emails sent to your clients daily, ASAP. You can handpick them. I always do ASAP, so anytime a listing comes on, it's going to send them an email. But then you can also send an email to yourself. So if you're out on the road all day showing property and you know you're not going to be near your computer for, say, 4 hours, you can still get the houses that your clients are going to match to on your phone via email, and you can still see all of the properties. There are different unique ways you can search. So you can draw your own shape. You can draw a polygon. You can do a radius. And when Real Scout did their major update, I think it was back in February or end of January, they did the whole upgrade. You can now do overlap in shapes. So you can draw a radius and then you can draw a square or a polygon within that radius and have those overlap. So that's something new as well. Again, you can search by school district or a particular school name. You have your traditional ways you can search as well with zip code, county, town, condo association name, development name, or subdivision name. Super simple to update a client search. You would just go over on the left navigation panel, click on contacts, and then you would select the contact name that you want to edit. And then once you're in that contact profile card, if it's, say, a listing alert, you would come over to the right, click on edit. Once you click on edit, it's going to ask, do you want to edit the filters? It's going to bring up the search criteria fields again, and then you can just go and edit the fields that need to be edited. Once you are done editing the fields that need to be edited, click update search. And if there are any new matches, it will ask you if you want to send those new matches to that client now, or if you want to preview them and manually send them to the client, you can do that. So this is the little alert box that does come up. Auto nurture, love this feature. So this is a campaign that Real Scout came up with, that if you have a client who is looking for 3-bed, 2-bath, and there's not much out there in their price, but they start looking at 3-bed, 1-bath, Real Scout will cater to both. So it's an auto nurture feature. There are simple questions that on the bottom of this auto nurture screen, how do they select what emails are sent? So if there's a couple FAQs on how that works. Monthly market activity report. This is good for your buyers and your sellers. So this data is just data pulled from Real Scout. It shows how many buyer interactions there are within a specific amount of days. And it's going to highlight them in a heat map index type map with the colors and all of that. And then it's going to give you a report as well. And it's going to break down per week or per day how many active buyers there have been. It's also going to give you top viewed listings, anything that has recently closed, anything that's had a price drop. Now, how can you use this for your sellers? You can use it to properly price a property. So if you have Mr. and Mrs. Seller saying, hey, on the west side of Drake, their property they think is worth $750, your CMA is showing, say, $650, you can also back up your proposed price for listing with, hey, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. This is what's recently sold. That's comparable to your house. And this is where all the activity is. So you can use this report for your sellers as well. Why is Real Scout better than a website? It's above average. New property alerts daily as soon as they hit the market. Super easy to read format. There's a mobile app that's easy to use as well. You can integrate it with major real estate lead platforms, realtor.com. I think Follow Up Boss is in there. There's a couple other in there. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then the last little thing I have for the Real Scout thing is, as Stacy mentioned earlier as well, Zillow, why you should not be using Zillow and why you should put your buyers in Real Scout. So Stacy, with that, I will give it back to you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Ashley. So
you're welcome.
We covered lots of stuff today, and we are at the end of our program. First of all, I want to just go through a few different things. Let me share my screen. So first off, I see that we still have a lot of agents on today's program that are not LAER agents. So I wanted to, if there's anybody who is with another brokerage and you liked some of the tools, training, technology that you had seen today, we would love to talk to you about potentially joining LAER. If it's something that sounds of interest to you, you can actually head over to joinlaer.com. This is just a site that basically spells everything out. We are just super transparent about everything. You can kind of go through the entire site. It's got our marketing and branding, all the career acceleration classes that we offer, technology, our happy agent support systems, everything is kind of laid out. Sometimes agents who are thinking about making a move don't even want to talk until they know what the compensation structure is. So we do have a little button right at the top, Agent Comp Plan, where you just fill in some information, because every comp plan is different. It's based on how long you've been in the business, how much business you do, are you full-time versus part-time, all of that matters. So every comp plan is a little bit different. You can fill out the Agent Comp Plan request, and we will create a personalized compensation offer letter for you, and then you can decide if it's something that you want to further the conversation. Or sometimes after our boot camp, people reach out and say, I want to join the brokerage. I just want to be part of what you guys have to offer. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, there's also an apply for membership. You can give us a little information about yourself in here. By the way, if you go to, some of you are saying, well, do you have an office in my marketplace? We have around 40 offices. And if you go to under About Us up in this left-hand corner, you can go down and see all of the office locations. We have offices all throughout Massachusetts and New Hampshire. We're in Maine, Connecticut, Florida. So you can go see where our offices are, but I will also tell you we have a lot of agents that they work for LAER and we don't have offices in the marketplace because we offer so many tools and training and technology, and everything that we offer is available whether we have an office 5 minutes away from you or 3 hours away. So for example, we have a very successful team that works in Naples, Florida. We don't have an office in Naples, Florida. It doesn't matter. They utilize the tools and the training and the technology to build successful businesses there. So that's basically it. You can go to joinlayer.com to learn more about LAER Realty. And before I sign off, I just want to go back to that list, the things that you're going to go execute on after you leave today's program, because here's where the time matters. You've already spent 3 hours with us today. That says an incredible amount about you as a professional. You are truly committed to your business to spend 3 hours thinking about and learning new ways to build a successful real estate business. But will it matter? Will it matter that you spent 3 hours with us today? And for some of you, the answer is going to be, yeah, it does matter, because you're going to go do something with it. You're going to go back to your list of things that you're going to execute on. And when the video's over, you're going to get to your computer and start working on stuff. The listing presentation, the buyer presentation. You're going to make your buyer packages, seller packages, investor packages. You're going to go update your Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com profiles. You're going to go sign up for TPMCO.com and get that $48 insurance policy so that you're staying in touch with your past customers. So every time you have a sale, you're going to put them into the TPMCO, the personal marketing company campaign. So you're staying in touch even if you forget to stay in touch. You're going to start embracing some of the technologies we showed you, like Fellow, like getting that so that now you're competing, you're on the same page with the Rocket Mortgage, who's in the email box of your customer every single month saying, hey, did you know what your value is? Did you know what your value is? You're going to go out and learn Real Scout, because by learning Real Scout, you prevent your clients from having to go to these third-party websites to search for real estate. You're going to be the source of good information and a smooth search process so your people don't have to go anywhere. Some of you are going to sign up for MLSmailings.com so that every time you list or sell a property, you're going to have your mailers going out. So the point I want to make here is that as we sign off, well, I think you are an amazing human being for the time that you put into your business just with the 3 hours. Unfortunately, the 3 hours it really doesn't count. It doesn't count until you execute, because knowledge is not power. Execution is power. So you have a lot of potential right now. The knowledge that you've gathered for the last 3 hours, all of that is just within you as potential. And now you stand at a crossroads that you can do something with it. You could just leave today and say, okay, I spent 3 hours in a class, and do nothing with it and go to lunch and then go about your day as if you would have even if you didn't watch it. And you will be maybe here 1 year from now, sitting on the boot camp again, having not executed anything that you could have executed. Or some of you are sitting at a crossroads right now and you say, okay, I got to start somewhere. I'm going to start with getting my buyer presentation done, my checklist manifesto for a great buyer presentation. So it's those little steps that matter. Turn the potential that you have, the potential that you've gathered up for the past 3 hours, and turn it into a shift in the trajectory of your business, because a shift in the trajectory of your business is simultaneously a shift in the trajectory of your life. With that, we are exactly at 12:02. So I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us today. If you're curious about LAER, go to joinlaer.com. And thank you to all the LAER agents who also joined us today to get a little bit more organized for your business. Thank you, Sergio, Craig, and Ashley. And till next month, have a great start to spring market. Thanks, everyone.